cinematics.com. So now we have our complete video edited together, as you have seen in the previous tutorials. If you haven't, be sure to check them out. But right now we're going to take a look on advanced color grading in Premiere Pro. So we're going to use the Lumetri colors. We're going to color grade a scene completely together so you can get to know how to work with Lumetri colors, which is really powerful in Premiere Pro. So let's get started. Open up Premiere and I see you there. Alright, so here we are in Premiere and we're going to work with color. So to work with color, make sure you are in the color tab right here, and you can also click on the Lumetri scopes, which I will be explaining very soon. So we have the program timeline, which we will definitely need, so I will drag this to the left here, and also the Lumetri scopes. And apart from that, we don't really need that much, so I'm going to scale this up a little bit, and this maybe a little bit more to the right. We don't need actual audio there, so okay. So right here we have the Lumetri scopes, and what I like to use is just the Parade RGB and also vector scopes if we're going to work with skin tones. But apart from that, we're not going too much into detail. It's actually rather simple, the Lumetri scopes, but it's just interesting that you know how it works. Everything below 0, it shouldn't happen, because it's going to crush your blacks, and that's what you don't want. And the same goes for 100. If you go over 100, it's going to overexpose your whites. Very simple. If we go right here, we lower the blacks, we can see that it's getting crushed over here. If we increase the whites, it's getting crushed over here. So that's not what we want. Double click over here, double click over here. We can lower the blacks just a bit if we want to, but not further than this. Okay, so that's basically what these scopes are telling me. But I'm going to put them on the left, because the first and most important thing is that your actual footage looks good. So we're nothing with these Lumetri scopes if we don't have nice footage. So what I mostly do is just look at my footage, try to get like a nice position right over here. I'm going to make this a little bit smaller, and I'm going to delete my overlay so I only get the original colors of my scene here. The white balance is okay, but you can play around with the white balance right over here. So you can make it warmer or colder, maybe make it just a little bit warmer, maybe a little bit more purple, but yeah, just trying to style it immediately. Exposure is spot on, so for me that's okay. I'm going to lower my contrast just a touch, and I'm also going to lower my shadows just a little bit. And there we go. Or what I could do is lower my blacks and bring up my shadows, depending on the style that you're trying to achieve. There we go. Highlights, we can bring these down as well, something like this. And now I have something that I like, maybe a little bit less blacks. There we go. So this is what I will do in my basic correction. We can look into the Lumetri scopes, everything, but yeah, we're not trying to get the correct white balance. If you're trying to get the correct white balance, just click on this pipette tool and click on a white or light gray area in your scene, and that's going to get you the correct white balance, or you should use a gray card. But that's for another tutorial if you want to. I'm also going to increase my saturation just a little bit. And there we go. Something like 150 should be okay. I'm going to close down my basic corrections. Going to creative, we can actually import looks right here. A look is actually just a LUT, so well, a LUT is just a look. So really simply, these are just presets that you can import in any kind of editing software. Well, not any kind of video editing software, but most of the video editing softwares can import these LUTs. These are mainstream, and yeah, you can read them in all kinds of different softwares. So right here, Premiere comes with a few LUTs that they have themselves. You can click through them like so. But actually, we created our own, and if you want these, you can also buy them on our website. Right here, these are our LUTs, so these are all the different kind of types that we have. And just to give you a little bit of demonstration, I'm going to be using a feel good, and if we're going to open that up, we're going to see that we get a look right here. We can import a different one, maybe go for a teal shadow here, and this is going to give you a more action kind of scene, and right now our scene is way too hot to use this kind of lit. We have Apocalypse, where it's going to be more like a zombie movie. You can drag these down or up depending on the intensity that you want, but always play with the intensity if you're looking using a LUT. I'm not going to use a LUT because it's a tutorial on how to do color grading, and if you want to get creative, you can do everything yourself, but yeah, using LUTs is a great way to get you a nice style fast. So definitely check out the link in the description if you're interested in LUTs. Okay, so right here we can add faded film, which is really overrated. A lot of movies, well, a lot of online videos add actually that flatness. I don't really like it, and actually most of my clients really hate it. When I was starting out to edit and I saw all these flat videos online, I was like, oh yeah, that's really cool. I'm going to try and emulate that and add some flatness to my scene. And when I get it to my clients, they're always, why is that so flat? And I don't really like the results that you're getting me, just because I was so fond of adding a little bit of flatness to my scene. But people outside the video world don't understand this, and actually I'm starting to understand them more and more, because why would you try to get something as flat like this? Yeah, just try to stay away from that and just try to not crush your blacks. That's going to help you a lot more. You can sharpen your footage right here by dragging this up, but just don't overdo it, because you can see it really fast. Right here it's already a little bit too much, but there we go. We can add some sharpness to our scene. Vibrance is the same as saturation. It's only going to affect different colors, so everything apart from the orange tones, as you can see, it's not really going to affect those. So really for the sky, we can do it like this, and we can also lower the saturation so we don't get that orange horse, because it's actually a brown horse. And there we go. And shadow tints and highlight tints, you can, yeah, that's pretty straightforward. If we're going to do that, you're going to get something like this. I don't really like to use these. I like to wait a little bit longer, go to my curves, maybe add a little bit of contrast here. So just add an S curve, like so. There we go. And you can also play here with the red, greens, and blues. What I like to do is just add a little bit of warmth in here, less in the shadows, and in the blue channel I will up them in the shadows and lower them in the highlights, and then you would get something like this. If we toggle this on and off, you can see the difference. Pretty cool. So we'll keep it as it is right now, and actually I'm not going to add so much blue in shadows. Well, kind of control clicking to remove something, and I'm going to lower them in the shadows, and you can also add them like so in the shadows if you want to. This is pretty cool. But then you should go to the green channel and also do the same thing for the greens, and just make sure it's not overall. Actually, I'm going to leave it as it is. So I'm going to remove the blue and remove the green here, and just play with the reds here in the highlights, and maybe just take them away in the highlights. So if you don't understand how curves work, that's also for a different tutorial, because it's it's actually really simple once you know it. But everything on this side is highlights, so if you drag it to the left, it's going to brighten it up. If you move it to the right, it's going to darken it down for that color. So it's going to become the opposite color if you drag it down, and it's going to become the well, blue if you drag it up. So if you drag it down, or red is going to become more orange, as you can see right here. So these are all cool tricks, but definitely check out other tutorials on curves if you don't know how to work with these. Right here we have the hue and saturation curve, where we can select different colors and just increase their saturation. So if we click over here, and now we click in the middle of the blue, and we drag this up, we're going to see that our blue gets more saturated, but all the rest stays the same. So you could work with that like so. You can also do the same thing for the orange, but like delete all the orange colors, all the orange tones, or increase them depending on whatever you want. So that's how you work with the hue and saturation curve. You can also click over here to already have presets of each color, but yeah, I prefer to work manually with this here. And now we have another very powerful tool which is HSL secondary, and what this will do is just you select the color or you select one of the presets and you click on the sky, for example. And if we are going to toggle color gray, we're going to see everything that's sampled. So if we're going to uncheck this, click on the plus pipet and just click around here on the sky. We're going to see if we click on the color gray that our sky is getting a key. So now we're only going to affect these colors, which is really cool. We can denoise it a little bit, we can blur it a little bit so it's coming along nicer in the edges here. And then one cool thing, we can darken it down, but only the blues, or increase the brightness right here. So double click on it if you want to reset it. So I'm going to click right over here, just in there. Now we're going to affect a little bit more, maybe a little bit more over here. Okay, there we go. So I'm going to reset my brightness because I think it's quite cool how it's looking there. And now we can make it even more blue if you want to, or we can make it orange. I'm not sure why you should do that, but right here what I like to do is add some greens, and this is going to give you that Hollywood kind of sky look. You're seeing that a lot in movies, that the sky is a little bit, yeah, off blue, some off blue like so. So that's really cool. But then on the other side, I also would take care of the orange tones here. So I would go here in the creative tool and just increase the saturation a bit and decrease the vibrance. There we go, and now we get like a warm tone here and a colder tone over here. Maybe make it a little bit darker, or maybe brighten it up a little bit, like so. And we can also play with the contrast if we want to, but yeah, of course the sky doesn't have a contrast. But if you want to focus on the face and you have the orange tones of a face, then you could play around with the sharpness of the face, and everything apart from that stays the same. So that's really cool, really fun to use. Yeah. Then you have lastly the vignette right here, which is very straightforward. If you increase it, it's going to brighten your edges. If you decrease it, it's going to make your edges a little bit darker, and this is going to give you a little bit more focus towards the middle of your screen. So I can play with the midpoint here and play with the feather, increase that, and just make sure you're not overdoing this, but on and off you can see a little difference, which looks pretty cool. So now we have color graded our shot, and if we are going to check our lumetri scopes, you can see that nothing has been clipped. But if we're going to see this complete thing here, and actually the effects, we can put it together with the lumetri scope so you can switch between these. If we're going to check it off, this is original, and this is the finished color grading, which looks a lot more stunning than what we originally started from. So really cool. Premiere is very powerful color grading wise. Of course, if you want to get really strong in color grading, some other softwares are still better at doing this, but for the most part, for the most people, this is a really fast and great way of color grading your footage, and they're really putting their best effort to create a nice color grading in their software system. So that's really cool. I love color grading with Premiere. So yeah, that's it for this tutorial. If you liked it, give it a like. Also subscribe to the channel for more, and thank you so much for watching, and goodbye.